Hi, I'm Lisa with Living Life with Lisa, and on this channel we talk about living life with chronic illness, and I personally have been diagnosed with MTHFR and early onset dementia, also known as younger onset dementia. And today, so I think we're going to talk about several things, but one of the things I'm going to talk about is the fact that I been on here talking about the lack of support groups and things like that for those people with it. And I found out that the lady, excuse me, I get my mail, that the lady that was going to help me with the group is no longer employed with the people that she was with, and so she won't be able to start the group with me, and that also there's nobody there that's willing to do that with me. So they sent me over to, when I called and finally got to talk to somebody without, because they weren't returning my calls, so I called and pretended like I was somebody new. And I called over there and acted like I'd been newly diagnosed. And I said, well, I talked to somebody earlier. Their name started with like a K or C or something. And they said the name. And I said, yeah, that's it. And I said, what about her? And she said, well, she's no longer with us. And I said, well, can you tell me where she's at? Where she's gone? So, well, she left on maternity leave. She had a baby, and I don't know if she's going to go anywhere. And I said, well, okay, that kind of shoots that. She said, well, I think you need to talk to somebody individually. So she put me over to Real Services because they had counselors over there. So I called the Real Services, and they said, well, we'll look and see what groups are available in Marshall County, because that's where I'm at, in Marshall County. So they looked, and she gave me the phone number for the group I already knew that was going on for caregivers here, and she gave me the number for Council on the Aging, which I called. I did go ahead and call them and left a message, but they didn't call me back. The reason I am interested in them is I've heard through the grapevine that they play euchre once a month, and I love to play euchre, so I may join them for that. But as far as support groups, they're not known for doing that. They're mostly rides and things like that. So anyway, so I went ahead and called the number for the one group, and it turned out, it sounds like the door's open, but it's not. I called the number I had for the support group that I knew was for caregivers, and the Alzheimer's Association answered. And so I went into my spiel about that we needed a group, and that if we had a chance to process this, that maybe we wouldn't act out so much later on, and we wouldn't be accused of acting out. Those words maybe would go away, but we don't know because we've never tried it, and that just because we get the diagnosis doesn't mean we need to be thrown away because we feel like we're thrown away, and that our mental health still counts, and we still need to process. And she cut me off and said, and I know I went to Fort Wayne, so there's no love lost between me and Fort Wayne. So I don't know if they got my name on the bulletin board up there or not, but anyway, she said, well, you need to talk to Donna. And I thought, well, I'll talk to Donna. I don't have a problem talking to Donna. And so Donna called me, and I said the same. She explained to me that it was a caregivers group, and that I probably did not want to attend that group. And I know I don't want to attend that group because it's a place for people to blow off steam, and that's the last thing I need to hear is people blowing off steam. But I'm going to meet with her next week, and we're going to discuss it. So hopefully, because I had told the Alzheimer's Association that I was going to start a group with or without them, and that's when they told me to talk to her. So I'm going to talk to her and see what she has to say, and if she's willing to go on board, yay. If she's not, all I've lost is just a little bit of meeting time, and I will go ahead and do my thing. I did start a Zoom meeting today. It was a little tricky because I had not done it before, and it was, so I couldn't explain it very well to people on how to do it. I had four of us managed to get on, and we talked for a while, and it was very helpful. We talked about insurance and that time between diagnosis and Social Security kicking in, and just, you know, about the mental health aspect of it and the need, and how people are seeing private therapists, but the private therapists aren't necessarily equipped or comfortable with dealing with people with dementia, which is, I think, true in many cases. And so even the one-on-one is not for now. One person is actually going to a place, it's a memory center that has psychologists, which is great because they're trained in it. But the rest of us are kind of left at the creek without a paddle, so to speak. So that was nice. Had some people that couldn't figure out how to get on, which is understandable. So I think I'm going to play with it and maybe have a couple of practice sessions just to see if we can get people trained on how to join the meeting, and that way they can do it when it's time to have a meeting. And I'm going to do it weekly because, one, it's hard to remember to do it if you do it every other week or every month. It's needed. These people really need somebody to talk to. We got a lot of information from each other, and ideas from each other is what we wanted, and nobody judged anything anybody said, but we were able to give each other ideas about what to do in those cases, in certain cases for this and that. And so it was exactly what I'd hoped for a face-to-face group. So you know, I call us pioneers, and so I think we're going to pioneer this one way or the other. And so I'm going to go ahead and do the Zoom mild cognitive impairment / dementia group for those with MCI and dementia. And then I'm going to see about getting more of a local face-to-face group, because they like to tell us that they told me, Indianapolis called me and told me I was one in 250,000 people that had early onset dementia, and that I was too rare, there wouldn't be any more. Well, in my group today, had one from Indiana that taught her local chapters in Indianapolis, and they told her the same thing. So they've talked to two of us telling us how we were such rare birds, there wasn't anybody else but us that had it. So right there's two. So they're just flapping their mouths and flapping their wings, and they're falling asleep at the wheel. They're not doing it. I'm starting to wonder if they're just collecting the money to pay themselves to run the caregiver groups, because the services that they claim we get aren't there. There's nothing for the kids to go to, and even this one that's out at the Indianapolis area, you know, she asked for her children, at which the youngest one's 20, and he needs, you know, he's in college and he's got to deal with this, losing his mother, and they don't have anything for him. Well, you know, there's more people involved. They always say, well, it's the whole family. Yeah, it's everybody. Well, let's take care of everybody, not just one specific group. And I ticked off a whole lot of people that last video where I said a hit and a miss, and I figure the people that I made angry are people that need to hear it. Because if that made, and I mean angry at me for saying it, not angry, the people that were angry with me saw what I meant, but the people that were angry at me for saying what I said and telling me I was wrong are probably people that don't understand, or are somehow connected with affiliated with the Alzheimer's Association, you will have not seen any of those comments. I blocked all those comments because I don't need the haters. So if you made a comment and it made it onto the page, I am not talking to you. I'm not talking about you. You're fine. If you made a comment and it's not showing up, then I am talking about you. So I know that there's some groups around St. Paul area in Minnesota, and thank you, and I'm sorry I forgot who that was, but it's posted down below on that other video. That memory cafe's up there, so that's great. That's wonderful. Thank you for that information, because I called that number and they weren't able to help me out, but there's other people. Go to that number, call it, see if they can they might be able to help out in your area. So that's another great resource. So I thank my viewer for that and for putting that information on there. So thank you so much, because that helps. That's very helpful to have that number and another resource. It didn't help me personally, but it will, I'm sure, help other people, because they'll be able to help other people in other areas. Because they told me my area didn't have enough volunteers. That's why they couldn't do it in my area. So with that being said, do that. Go to that video, Hitting the Miss. Go down in the comments there. I'm sorry, please forgive me. I don't remember who it was, but they put in about memory cafes or memory clubs or something. Go down there. They've got a phone number there. Use that if you need that, because that sounds like a wonderful organization. So thank you for posting that. I appreciate it leaps and bounds, because that's helpful to know that there are places that people can go to, and there are people that are out there willing to help if they have the resources. So use those. So I'm gonna let you go. I've got medicine to pick up. My caregiver's coming over to do the medicine with me, and so I got to pick up the medicine, and then I'm gonna go home and rest till the boys get home. So with that, I'm gonna leave you. Thank you for sticking around this long. Remember, live life to the fullest, live life with no regrets, and we will catch you next time. Bye bye.